Hey, let's play a song. I'd like to introduce you to a form, which means a chord progression, called the blues form, that forms the basis of most of our Western popular music. And boy, if you go back and listen to Suzuki violin, a lot of those old Mozart pieces were 1-4-5 as well. We could get into a very philosophical discussion about the overtones in the music of the Spears, but we're not going to here. But we do need to be aware of the blues form, because now you know how to play whole notes and half notes and quarter notes and eighth notes. You know how to play open strings, and you know how to fret notes. So with this knowledge, we can go ahead and play a song. We can play a blues. Because at this most basic form, the function of a bass player, the job of a bass player, is to play the root of the chord when the chord changes. And by the root, I mean the one. So say if you're an A, we're going to play an A. If we're going to play in the key a D chord, we're going to play a D. If we're going to play an E chord, we would play an E. Now we're going to get into later seventh chords and why they work and all that kind of stuff. Let it be known that most blues forms, the chords you're going to be playing are dominant chords, which means you have a major third, but a flatted seventh, which gives you this chord. That's what we're going to use. Now, when they talk about blues, or again, we're going to cover this again more later, but we talk about 1-4-5. Now, what could that mean? Well, if you take the notes of a scale, there are 7 notes in a scale and an octave. Now, we're going to look at a dominant 7 scale, an A dominant 7. We've got 1, the root, 2, 3, the major third, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. So if you say 1, we're talking about A and A. Now if you say 4, you're talking about the 4, which would be the D. And if you're going to say the 5 in the key of A, then there we're on to E. 1, 4, 5. Again, we're going to get into all this later. So the form of a blues is you play a bar of the 1, you play a bar of the 4, you play 2 bars of the 1. You play 2 bars of the 4, you play 2 bars of the 1. You play a bar of 5, a bar of 4, a bar of 1, and then a bar of 5 to end it. You'll hear it. But this is the basic of so many kinds of music, and if you want to jump into a jam session or go play with some friends, this is the #1 thing you need to be aware of, right? So again, you don't have to play too simple, too complicated. In fact, people like it when you play simply, which is why we can play this blues form, playing the root of the chord when the chord changes, right? And we can play it 2 ways. We can play it with open strings, or we can play it by fretting the notes. So we're going to go through it twice. The first time we're going to play open strings, and then we're going to play with fretted notes. And again, this can sound really good. I've been to bass camps where I've had adults try to play the blues and they just play so many notes it doesn't really serve the music. And then a friend of mine's young daughter came up and played and she just went. And it was enough and it sounded wonderful. So 1-4-5, key of A. Let's play some blues. Wonderful track here. We have Gianluca Palmieri on drums, who I've toured with the great guitar player Greg Howe. And on guitar we have Mr. Toshinori Yanagi from the Stu Hamm Band, as well as the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Hit it, boys. Big long notes with the same sustain and attack. Now let's play fretted notes. It's really all you need to play blues. Here I think the fretted notes sound a little better because they're a little smoother. And you can let them ring a little longer. Basically what I'm listening to here for time is the hi-hat. That's sort of what I'm grooving with. There's your blues in A.